Dr. Bugs here, your friendly neighborhood entomologist, and I'm gonna guess you've heard about the mysterious losses in honeybee colonies in recent years. Does the misunderstood and overused term colony collapse disorder ring a bell?
Colony collapse disorder.
Colony collapse disorder.
Colony collapse disorder.
Colony collapse disorder.
Well, I've talked with a lot of people about this lately, and there's still a fair amount of misinformation or lack of info altogether as to what's going on 10 years later. And if we're gonna rescue these guys, it's gonna require a coordinated effort from people who understand both the ecological value and the host of issues impacting these incredible insects. Shh. Do you hear that? Sounds like theme music?
He ain't got no competition. Only here is my prescription. Dr. Bugs. He ain't got no busy life. You can call him anytime. Dr. Bugs. Dr. Bugs. Dr. Bugs.
There's an interesting statistic floating around that every third bite of food that enters your mouth would not be possible without honeybees. That sounds hard to believe. And 73.6% of statistics quoted on the internet are made up on the spot. Only 19% of people know that. So I thought it might help to explain some of the facts behind that stat. And let's just start with a basic fact. Honeybees pollinate an overwhelming amount of our food products. Potato, okra, kiwi, onion, almonds, Brazil nut, cashew. Alright. Watermelon, tangerine, orange, grapefruit, coconut, coffee. Yeah, that's right, they pollinate a good morning. Persimmon, fennel, strawberry.
Sunflower, lychee, macadamia, apple, asparagus, rapeseed, blackcurrant, mustard, rose hips, turnip, canola, red pepper, green pepper, chili pepper, safflower, papaya, chestnut.
Mango, alfalfa, rambutan? Skip it. Lima bean, kidney bean, string bean, green bean, coriander, cardamom, allspice, ginger spice, scary spice, baby spice.
Lime, carrot, cherry, plum, boysenberry, raspberry, blackberry, elderberry, blueberry, cranberry, frankenberry, blueberry.
We couldn't grow commercially relevant amounts of these plants without honeybees. Oh, wait, no, I forgot some. Peach, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, guava, pomegranate. Okay, I think that's all of them. Oh, no wait, pumpkin, zucchini, cucumber, squash. Are you good?
Yep.
We named all the plants.
Yeah, no, definitely. We're cool, man.
Are you sure?
100%.
Alright. Okay. Alright. Good.
Oh, except pear, sesame, cowpea, black-eyed pea, tomato, and grape. Pay me enough for this craziness. Aw, come back. No.
It's really no wonder why on any given year the international economic value of just their pollination services can total anything from $180 billion to $270 billion. Honeybees are deeply involved with meat production too. They pollinate the plants that we feed to cattle, which makes it affordable for us to raise them. And don't even get me started on honey and wax production. So now that you've got a better handle on their worth, let's talk about the problem. What's wrong with honeybees? Short answer? A little bit of everything. Parasites, bacterial infection, fungal infection, viral infection, pesticides, poor land management practices, poor nutrition, inbreeding, socioeconomic factors, climate change, and just stress in general have all played a part. But the key player, it's actually something you can see with the naked eye. These honeybees may look normal,
But when you really get in close, and if you can turn one of them over, you'll find a sinister creature underneath. Meet Varroa destructor. And trust me, the researchers who named these guys were not being overly dramatic. It's a type of mite. They're relatives of the tick, and man are they jerks.
And I should know, my PhD project is dedicated to better understanding these parasitic arachnids. They have not always been cooperative. We're finally seeing some Okay. We're finally seeing some breakthroughs, and it turns out these guys are bigger jerks than any of us ever thought.
They may look small, but only 10 years after their accidental introduction into the United States, and they'd already killed off nearly 100% of the wild honeybee colonies. You don't see a lot of these anymore. This used to be a healthy colony, but then the mites took over, and several months later, this is all that's left. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And if they seem small, it's because you're looking at them out of context. On a bee, it's easier to see that these guys are far more than a minor annoyance. If you had a parasite proportional to this one on you, it would be like you having a tick the size of your hand sucking out your innards. And some bees end up with more than one. A swing low, a sweet chariot. They can hitch a ride topside on bees. But the majority of the time, they'll actually be hidden on the underside of the bee's abdomen, where they feed on their host's insides. And if that wasn't bad enough, they spend even more time feeding on immature bees while they're developing inside of the comb, leading to weak and deformed adults. And if even that weren't bad enough, by some counts they have more than 12 associated viruses that they can spit into bees while they're feeding. It's really no wonder they're considered by the scientific community to be the primary agent leading to these huge honeybee die-offs.
What's worse is that we may be actively making them stronger. Many beekeepers don't want to treat for these pests. They'd rather let colonies with high mite loads die naturally, and then they'll raise the ones that survive.
It's an attempt to breed resistance. The problem is that the majority of these attempts are unlikely to end in success.
Colonies tend to die pretty quickly if not treated for Varroa, and that's not just that single beekeeper's problem. His neighbor's bees will try to rob those dead or weak colonies of their food stores, and in the process, he'll pick up sinister hitchhikers and bring them back to their own colony.
There, those mites can pick up even more viruses and continue to grow in virulence.
One researcher compared it to letting mangy cattle roam around in public fields. To me, it would be like keeping a kennel of dogs that you never treat for fleas or ticks.
What's worse is that if these mites are spread primarily by hive robbing, the mites that kill the most colonies are the most likely to be picked up and spread. You may find a small level of resistance in your bees, but in effect you've bred for much greater virulence in the mites. This is potentially how they've accumulated such a huge amount of viruses so quickly.
These are some next level type parasites right here. Now I know what you're thinking. How come whenever I hear about this on the news, I only hear about pesticides? Just pesticides.
The destructiveness of Varroa is no secret, I promise. The same collaborative study that says that pesticides are one of the problems contributing to poor pollinator health also says that Varroa are the primary issue. And this is the same huge study, by the way, that everyone has been referencing the past few years when they make newscasts about pesticides causing the honeybee health crisis. So why do Varroa get ignored?
Have you ever heard of Silent Spring? It's the book by Rachel Carson that opened our eyes to the effect that our chemical input into the environment can have on so many different organisms. Part of its legacy is that it's taught us to look for a chemical at the center of environmental issues. But a chemical doesn't always give us the whole picture. We can't forget that sometimes another organism is at the center of the problem. Bat populations are currently being decimated by a parasitic fungus that causes white nose syndrome. Amphibians are experiencing huge die-offs due to another parasite that causes chytridiomycosis. And honeybees have a crazy parasite at the center of their problem too. Now, I'm not ragging on Rachel Carson, but I do think that we may have developed Silent Spring syndrome as a result of her book.
Right now, you could type in "what's killing the bees" on YouTube. Go ahead, try it. And while many of these videos will mention the Varroa mites, they'll spend far more time talking about the pesticides. Regardless of how many studies say, guys, you need to be paying more attention to this invasive parasite, regardless of what we keep seeing in hives, we just can't seem to focus on anything but the pesticides.
But I'm definitely not defending pesticide producers.
It's pretty clear that pesticides are also contributors to poor honeybee health.
And who would ever be surprised to find that insecticides, which are intended to kill insects, killed an insect we did not intend for them to kill? It's the story we expect, but we're giving disproportionate time to one issue, not focusing nearly enough attention on what researchers are calling the key player in honeybee health decline.
This isn't a matter of either or. We don't need to stop discussing the issues of pesticides before we can start discussing Varroa.
As scary as Varroa are, they didn't do all this by themselves. They play a huge part. There's still one big player in a complex of issues.
The effect of this parasite makes the honeybees a lot weaker. It directly and indirectly impacts their ability to deal with a lot of other stress factors that they were once able to handle.
And some of these stress factors almost certainly make the bees more susceptible to parasites in the first place. All of those stress factors are in need of our attention too. Even if we somehow got rid of all the Varroa, those stress factors would still be here causing trouble. Okay, so you've heard the doom and gloom surrounding the bees. The odds are not in their favor. But we can change that. You can change that. First off, please support honeybee research. With more research, we can beat this mite and the complex of problems that it's exploiting. Secondly, if you're a beekeeper, please don't let your Varroa run wild.
We're gonna win this fight, but until then, we need to keep their populations low to reduce their impact.
And let's give our bees, both native and introduced, a fighting chance by affording them a much healthier diet. Plant pollinator-friendly plants wherever you can.
If you're feeling particularly passionate, plant a whole pollinator garden in your yard. It sounds daunting at first, but I'm planning to make a video soon to show you just how rewarding it can be.
Not long ago, it was considered a man's glory to keep his lawn entirely green, just grass.
It may be nice to show off to your neighbors, but to honeybees, it's just a jade wasteland, a food desert.
Why don't we make it the new standard of manliness to make flowers grow?
You can also become a beekeeper. It's pretty rewarding. Literally. You can get tons of honey and wax out of the deal, but it would also help to integrate honeybees into our everyday lives, making it harder to ignore how incredibly important they are.
Alright everybody, thanks for watching. Let's save the bees. I mean, she's doing it. Seriously, she's 11 years old and she's already started a company selling lemonade sweetened with honey. She's donating a portion of the profits to nonprofits that are working on saving the bees. If you're watching, Michaela, I think you are incredible and I would love to have you on the show. Email Dr. Bugs. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you learned something. And if you're still on the fence about whether or not insects are the coolest creatures on this planet, tune in to the next episode. If for nothing else, then for this funky theme music.
He ain't got no competition, only he run my prescription. Dr. Bugs, he ain't got no busy life, you can come. Dr. Bugs.
Hey, I just wanted to dedicate this episode to Mrs. Ramsey's class from Corcoran Memorial Preschool. You guys made a video dancing to my theme song and asking me to come to your school, and I did. And I'm really glad that I did. It was so cool getting to meet such young entomologists. You guys are getting started earlier than I did, and that's saying something. Hey, stay curious. Are we done? Did you name all the plants they pollinate? Did I forget?
Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkey, chicken,